To Unit 2, Day 1 notes. Little typo on the top of your paper. This should say Unit 2, not Unit 3. But today we will be talking about linear functions, their key features, and graphing these functions. So the first thing that I want to go over is the definition of a function. A function is a rule that assigns each element of set A to a unique element of set B. Function notation is where we use f of x instead of y in an equation. And it can be f of x, g of x, h of x, any letter of x. It's just a different notation that we use instead of y. Next, we're going to talk about domain. Domain is our input value. And it's the set of all x values. Range is our output value. Or the set of all y values. F of x, g of x, and h of x represents the output, while x represents the input. So now we want to go down to number 1 and solve number 1. So the first thing that we see for number 1 is that f of x equals 3x plus 4. The first thing that I'm solving for is f of 3. Notice here that we've changed our x value to 3 within our equation. So when I replace my x with the 3, I'm also going to do the same thing in my problem. So instead of 3x, I'll put 3 times 3 and then plus 4. Now I'll use my mathematical properties to simplify my equation. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 plus 4 is 13. So f of 3 is going to equal 13. Next, we're going to do a similar process, but with f of 5. So I replace my x value with 5, and I'm going to do the same thing within my equation. So I'm going to do 3 times 5 plus 4. And I'll simplify. So 3 times 5 is 15, and 15 plus 4 is 19. So f of 5 equals 19. So notice for these first two problems, I had f of x and then it changed to f of a number. I replaced x with a number. When I replace the x with a number, I have to do that for every x in my equation. However, for the last part of number 1, it says f of x equals 17. So instead of replacing my x with a number, I'm going to replace f of x with a number. So the number that I'll be replacing it with here is 17. So it's going to be 17 equals 3x plus 4. And I'll use my mathematical process to simplify it down and solve for x. My first step is to subtract 4 from both sides, and that gives me 13 equals 3x. Then I'll divide by 3 and get 13 thirds equals x. All right, now on to part 2, or number 2. This part is g of x equals 2x minus 6. So for the first section of this problem, I have g of 5. I replaced my x with 5, so I'll do that for every x in my equation. 2 times 5 minus 6, and then simplify. 2 times 5 is 10. And 10 minus 6 is going to be 4. So g of 5 equals 4. Next, I have g of x equals 18. Here, I will take my g of x and change it to 18 because in my problem it says g of x equals 18. So instead of replacing x, I replace g of x with 18 and set that equal to 2x minus 6. Now I will add 6 to both sides. That gives me 24. And divide by 2. So in this case, x equals 12. I could also write that g of 12 equals 18. And last part, g of 8. So I replaced my x with 8, and so I'll do that for the rest of my problem. 2 times 8 minus 6. So 2 times 8 is 16. And 16 minus 6 is 10. Now moving on to number 3, I have h of x. For the first part of this problem, we have h of 6. So I replace my x with 6. I'll do that for all of the remaining x's in my problem. So h of 6 equals 2 times 6 minus 3. 2 times 6 is 12. And 12 minus 3 is 9. For the second part of the problem, I have h of x equals 1. So I will replace h of x with 1 and set that equal to 2x minus 3. I'll add 3 to both sides to get 4 equals 2x, and then divide by 2. So x equals 2. I could also rewrite this in the form h of 2 equals 1. Now I need to complete this input-output table using my function h of x. Remember, my inputs are my x values, and my outputs are my y values, or h of x. Let me rewrite that a little bit better. H of x. So my first part is h of x equals 2x minus 3. My first input is 2. So I have h of 2 equals 2 times 2 minus 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So h of 2 equals 1. And while I'm doing inputs, I'm just going to go ahead and do the second input. My second input is 3. So I'm going to have to solve for h of 3. So 2 times 3 minus 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 minus 3 is 3. I'm going to scroll over, but I still have my equation written right here. So my next part, I'm going to do the outputs. So we know that outputs are h of x, and I'm going to replace my h of x in this case with 5. So I'm going to do 5 equals 2x minus 3. I'll add 3 to both sides to get 8 equals 2x, then divide by 2 to get 4 equals x. So my input value when my output is 5 is 4. And last part, my output is 9. So I'm going to take 9 and set it equal to 2x minus 3. I'll add 3 to both sides to get 12 equals 2x, divide by 2 to get x equals 6. So when my output is 9, my input is 6.